Today, we examine a critical controversy unfolding in Pakistan's commercial hub, Karachi. What began as a public discussion on the city's future has escalated into a political storm, raising questions about governance, institutional roles, constitutional boundaries, and deep-rooted political grievances. This is an in-depth look at the facts, political context, media reactions, and broader implications for democracy and civic stability. At a high-profile event titled Future of Karachi, leaders and citizens convened to discuss the city's trajectory, its infrastructure, administration, and quality of life. However, instead of being seen as a constructive dialogue, this event quickly became a flashpoint for political debate. Critical voices have accused the governor of Sindh, Cameron Tesori, of overstepping his constitutional role by engaging in political discourse and using the governor house for what some claim are partisan activities. These allegations have now escalated beyond political talk, entering into calls for constitutional accountability. The Sindh Bar Council, a prominent legal body, passed a resolution demanding the governor's immediate removal, stating that political involvement from constitutional offices undermines impartial governance and violates constitutional norms. To understand the controversy, we must step back and review the political landscape of Karachi. Karachi's quality of life has deteriorated over the past 2 decades. From infrastructure challenges to sanitation failures and poor basic services, Karachi repeatedly ranks among the world's least livable cities. Meanwhile, political disputes and administrative fragmentation have limited coherent governance solutions. Many citizens and analysts argue that if public officials, whether provincial or federal, truly care about Karachi's development, this should result in measurable improvements. Instead, discussions about progress or structural reforms often devolve into accusations rather than solutions. Internal divisions within Mujahid Qawmi movement, Pakistan, MQMP, have widened significantly, with top segments led by Mustafa Kamal and Dr. Khalid Maqbool Siddiqui pursuing separate public agendas and political platforms. Observers note that these divisions have been visible in simultaneous rallies and separate meetings of party leaders and workers. Media coverage suggests that differences have become public and organizational, even if no official split has been declared. This adds complexity to Karachi's political dynamics, particularly when MQMP's direction on city governance and provincial collaboration is in flux. Karachi's controversies have ignited wide discussion on social platforms. On Twitter and Reddit-like forums, Karachi residents have expressed deep frustration with the status quo, criticizing established parties like the Pakistan People's Party, PPP, for long governance with little visible change in public services, floods, or infrastructure. Some voices even call for PPP's removal from Sindh governance because they feel Karachi has been neglected despite electoral dominance. Other social media commentary reflects the emotional connection Karachites feel toward their city, expressing nostalgia for the period when Karachi had more autonomous local governance and direct accountability to its citizens. Furthermore, trending clips like a viral statement by celebrity Malmina Iqbal urging leadership change and even suggesting a strong administrator from outside Sindh for Karachi's improvement highlight popular frustration with ongoing governance issues. This groundswell of discussion points to an underlying belief across social media that systemic reform, not merely political rhetoric, is needed for Karachi to thrive. 5. Reactions from mainstream media and parties. Mainstream media reporting reinforces the political sensitivity of the issue. The Sindh Assembly passed a resolution reinforcing Karachi's status as an integral part of Sindh, rejecting any proposal for separate provincial status, a direct response to growing demands for administrative restructuring from certain quarters. Asif Ali Zardari, Pakistan's president and PPP co-chairperson, has reportedly reprimanded the Sindh chief minister and Karachi mayor over the city's worsening conditions, demanding measurable improvements within 3 months and urging coordination with federal resources. This mainstream discourse shows that the controversy isn't isolated. It now touches the highest levels of national politics. Here are some highlighted outcomes from constitutional and structural debate. At the center of the dispute are constitutional interpretations. Critics argue that discussions of federal oversight or autonomy for Karachi reflect sincere concern over governance. They cite constitutional provisions that allow federal jurisdiction in specific circumstances for economic or strategic cities, but this remains a point of political disagreement. Supporters of the Sindh government, however, argue that such suggestions threaten provincial integrity and national unity, and that coordination, not division, is the constitutional path forward. Media reports highlight the Sindh Assembly's position that rejecting provincial fragmentation is essential to upholding constitutional solidarity. These debates are legally nuanced, and whether a structural change is desirable or constitutional remains a matter of serious legal and political discussion. Another view: deepening public distrust and calls for accountability. What is especially notable in this controversy is where public trust is eroding. Karachi residents increasingly question not just political leadership, but whether elected representatives are accountable to public needs. Social media sentiment reflects anger at perceived political inertia and failure to address flooding, transport, sanitation, and employment issues. Critics use recurring events and tragedies as evidence that governance mechanisms are not responsive to the everyday hardships of Karachi's citizens. This distrust is not new. It has grown through repeated governance failures, recurring political disputes, and a sense that macro politics overshadows civic priorities. The current governor-house debate has simply crystallized these concerns into a national conversation. Let's talk about conclusion. What does Karachi deserve? So, what should the public takeaway be? This controversy is not merely about who spoke where. It is about who has the courage to address Karachi's systemic issues. It is about accountability, transparency, and institutional responsibility. And it is about whether political disputes should obstruct meaningful policy action. Karachi needs effective administration, not political grandstanding. Clear accountability mechanisms for service delivery. Constructive inter-party collaboration rather than confrontation. Public trust through action, not rhetoric. In mature democracies, public debate, even contentious debate, should be seen as a way to refine solutions, not as a threat to political order. Suppressing discussion about governance risks transforming civic spaces into arenas of fear rather than forums for democratic progress. Karachi's future cannot be pinned to personalities or political insecurities. It must be anchored in governance reform, civic empowerment, and accountable leadership at every level. Now the final word. Karachi's challenges are structural, not simply political. If this debate results in real policy focus and improved public services, that will be progress. If it ends as yet another headline, then the city and its citizens will continue to pay the price. This program is an independent investigative analysis based on publicly available information, historical records, budget documents, media reports, and publicly stated positions of various stakeholders. The views expressed in this video are presented for journalistic, educational, and public interest purposes only. The content does not intend to defame, malign, or target any individual, political party, government institution, province, community, or organization. All references to policies, administrative decisions, census data, budgets, and governance structures are part of ongoing public debate and democratic discourse. Any statistical figures mentioned are based on publicly reported sources and may be subject to revision, reinterpretation, or official clarification. This video does not claim exclusive accuracy and encourages viewers to consult primary documents, official reports, and multiple perspectives when forming their own conclusions. Viewer discretion is advised. This content is created in good faith, in the interest of transparency, civic awareness, and informed public dialogue. Please subscribe, like, and share.